Taste the feeling.
For Total Home Pest Control, who are you going to call?
Call the Bug Man, 923-BUGS.
For total pest control for your home or business, call the original Salvat.
Call the Bug Man today, 923-BUGS.
Exiles from what you ask? Exiled from the radio. But now, we're on your television.
I'm Bill Profita, he's Kevin Gallagher, and they kicked us to the curb.
But we're back.
We are back with Exiles Television on the Pelican Broadcasting Network. We're going to bring you the newsmakers. We're also going to take your calls and give you great information. It's going to be the best damn radio show on television.
Look for it on your cable system or download the app, PelicanSportsTV.com.
It says here that Eric Gaylord is back. Where has he been?
Well, I heard he was in the great Northwest hunting for Sasquatch.
Stop.
Really? Yeah.
I've been looking for years. Maybe Sasquatch doesn't exist.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hello and welcome to hour one of our Monday edition of the Clarence Bug Show. Here's hoping that your weekend was an absolutely fabulous one. If not, well, as we say each and every Monday, right about this time of the day, good Lord willing, you'll still be here when the next one rolls our way, and you'll have the opportunity to try it all over again. We start today's show with the latest development in the race for mayor of East Baton Rouge Parish. A very familiar name throwing her hat into the ring, and it is a name that legislators, folks familiar with the Louisiana legislature, and of course the East Baton Rouge Parish are well familiar with. State Representative C. Denise Marcelle joins us to start today's show. State Representative, good morning, and how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I am well. Thank you for asking. We had Matt Watson on the show earlier. We had Tara Wicker on the show, and we had Jordan Piazza on the show. And the very first question I posed to them is the question I posed to you. With all this COVID-19 stuff going on, any second thoughts about running for mayor?
No, absolutely not. Actually, it's more so reason that I should run because of the COVID. I think that people have reached out to me because not only am I available to them during the COVID, but I was also available to them during whenever there's a pandemic or a situation that's going on in the city that disrupts everybody.
Right.
And when leaders stand up, that's the leaders that stand out to the people. And so I did this with 2016 flood, helping out neighborhoods all over the city, and I'm doing that once again with COVID.
So for those who don't know, who exactly is C. Denise Marcelle?
Well, I come from humble beginnings in Eden Park. I'm actually from that area, and my grandfather was one of the founding members of the First Ward Voters League in Eden Park, which encouraged other people to get out and vote and registered people long before I was ever born. I'm from a family of ministers. I've also been very in tune with the people on the ground in my community. I started doing community events when I was not elected to anything, just trying to uplift my community. And so at that time, the community cried for me to run for Metro Council. I ran for that. And then I moved up, obviously, to state representative. And I just continue to serve my community. And I'm really a servant, more so than I am a politician. And I'm an activist. I like to stand up for the least of those, and certainly for the average working class family.
So what do you see as the challenges and the obstacles facing East Baton Rouge Parish?
Well, there are many, but certainly what I like to call in my platform the SOS. You got to stand up for small and large businesses, because in order for large businesses to succeed, you certainly got to make sure that the small businesses are successful. One of the things that I realized that in order to have a strong economy, you certainly got to have people that are working. So we need more things for young people to do, such as either training, and I've worked very closely with PRCC because that's in my district, to promote those trainings and let people know what's available to them and the amount of dollars that they can make if they go and get the training that they need. So in order to build up businesses, you got to build up the people. And so that's some of the things I think need to happen. And certainly that's just standing up for businesses and the offering of solutions to bridge the gap between our cities and reduce the traffic congestion and infrastructure. We can't have it unbalanced. Where I rode down the street just yesterday, Clarence, and it felt like I was on a roller coaster. Now, the street had been repaved in North Baton Rouge, but the question becomes, what was the quality of that work, right?
Right.
So a lot of those infrastructure needs that we face in North Baton Rouge, and really throughout the city, the traffic congestion is throughout the city. But a lot of the infrastructure, I certainly want to offer solutions to that. And finally, standing out against crime and demolishing crime in this in Baton Rouge, and more so than ever. I don't know if you know, but I stood up on Friday against the people on Plank Road, and not necessarily against them, but I stood because I was getting calls from the residents, and they were in fear for their lives with the shootings that were going on. They were being blocked in their driveways. They couldn't go down their streets. They turned Plank Road into a club. And so I went out to talk to the people and ask them to disperse because the weekend prior there were shootings out there. And that's what they're looking for. They want somebody to talk to. And they did leave. And they didn't come back Friday or Saturday. And so we got to find ways to reach our community. I'm not saying that every weekend the mayor needs to be out there on the corner, right?
Right.
I'm the mayor. But I've got to come up with programs, true community policing, to reach the community and help with these this violence that we have going on in our city. And I think when you raise people out of poverty, that actually helps.
Obviously, tax collections are going to be way down because of the COVID-19 pandemic. How do you foresee that affecting the operations of city parish government?
Well, I believe that it's certainly going to impact not only city parish government, it's going to impact every portion of our city and our state because we're obviously going to have less taxes to work with. We will have to try to tap into more federal funds, which I've been a part of because I'm on the appropriations committee at the state level. So we're getting funds appropriated through the CARES Act and trying to fill some of those gaps that we know are going to absolutely happen. We're going to do as much as we can from the state level. And as a mayor, I will continue to work with the state and the appropriations committee and the Speaker of the House and certainly the Senate, the Senate President, in order to make sure that we get the funding. I have a great working relationship with Congressman Graves and Congressman Cedric Richmond, and I will continue to have those relationships in advocating for those dollars to come back into not only Baton Rouge, but throughout our state. But of course, my focus would certainly be on East Baton Rouge Parish. So
what sets State Representative C. Denise Marcelle apart from the others running for the mayor of EBR?
I think that, for one, I'm a different type of person. I'm on the ground. I have a lot of transparency. Whatever I say I'm going to do, I'm going to do. And I'm not saying that any other candidate is not a truthful candidate.
Right.
But what I am saying is I will stand up even when it's not popular. I believe that people play safe a lot of times, And I think great leaders stand on whatever they believe in. And you're going to have some people against you or for you, regardless of whatever decision you make. But I think what stands out about me is I'm a person who's going to make a decision based upon the best thing I think is for the parish, and I'm going to stick to that decision. I'm not going to wait on anybody else to lead me to that, or I'm not going to wait until I'm safe. I'm going to make that move out front. I think that sets me apart. I think the other thing that sets me apart is I have a lot of original ideas, and I bring those to the table. I was on the forefront, as you know. I was on your show about the body cameras when it was not popular to do, when even some of the policemen were against me doing it. It did not matter to me. I thought it was good for the policemen and the citizens. And as you know, I stood on that fight until we got body cameras for every officer in the city of Baton Rouge. So I think that's what sets me apart. The DBE program that we proposed and ordinance, although all of our names were on that, I was one of the first ones to say we've got to have a DBE component in Baton Rouge, although it's not been fully implemented in my assessment of it. So those are the things that, and when they said, well, how are we going to get this passed? We got to be able to work on both sides of the aisle, and everybody has to understand that they have a seat at the table. It's not just about black people getting businesses, but it's also about women-owned businesses. It's about veteran-owned businesses. So you got to educate people, go to the other side, and be able to articulate what it is you're trying to do. And I think I've shown that I can do that.
These are obviously unprecedented times. What's it been like campaigning during a pandemic?
Wow, it's been really different. It's tough to raise money during this time, but a lot of people, it's been exciting once I announced how many people called me and asked me to just, I want to donate my time. I want to help you to get your message out. I want to support you. So it's really been interesting for me because, of course, none of us has never been in this spot. But it's been very interesting to me, the number of people, ministers, business owners, just everyday ordinary people who have businesses saying to me, we'll step up and help you during this time. Because they've seen me on the front line, even with COVID. You know, I've been out here giving away supplies all over the city, Lysol wipes, cleaning supplies, the people, masks, the people. I was one of the first people to get out front on that. I've been providing those same types of things for churches all around this city because they need it, and I was able to get those items. And so it's been different for me because it's easier for me to do what I do because I think they say I campaign 24/7, but that's kind of who I am. It's really not a campaign for me, it's service.
Speaking of campaigning, what does it say to State Representative C. Denise Marcelle about how far we've come in East Baton Rouge when we have 3 African-American women running to be the next CEO of this parish?
Well, it says a lot. It says that our city certainly is open to change and to be progressive. Many people ask me about that, about why all 3 of us are running, and I refer them back to our race 4 years ago where there were 12 people in the race. So this is a small number of people in this race. When I ran before, there were 12 people in the race. And I think it just says that people are open to not allowing the seat to belong to any particular person, right?
Right.
So whoever has the best message, I've always believed whoever had the best message to lead the city, the parish, the state, or the council representative, whatever position that they were running for, I've always believed that the people needs an opportunity to vote for the people that they think. And so, finally, let me say that I did not haphazardly jump into this race, but I was urged by many of the residents of this parish.
Speaking of that, and I am sure you probably have heard or read comments in this regard, some people are of the opinion that C. Denise Marcelle is only in the race to, quote, water down the black vote and ensure that Tara Wicker, the more, quote, crossover of the three African-American candidates, will not make a runoff with Sharon Weston Broome. What do you say to the folks that feel that way?
I will refer them back to 4 years ago when there were 12 of us in the race, and I think 9 of us were African Americans. So if we have 3 African Americans and 2 whites in the race now, I think it's a lot smaller pool, and I think it's a false narrative. I would say that I'm running because people have urged me to run, and I don't believe that 3 African American women being in the race is any different from the 9 African Americans that was in there before. And matter of fact, I think it was a larger pool the last time, and it stretched us out a little bit further than it does this time. So I think that just says that people want change. I'm assuming that Tara Wicker has her reasons for running. I know that I'm running because the people of this parish have asked me to run. So I don't believe that it's watering down votes. I believe that it's giving people the options to vote for who they think is the best candidate.
Finally, crime in the African-American community continues to be disproportionately high. How do we fix this?
I think I spoke a little bit about it earlier. One of the things that I had proposed was for all the law enforcement officers to come together on last week. We met, there's a group that I meet with about crime in Baton Rouge. Those are some of the local leaders like Silky Slim. The police is on that body with serving from Baker Police, Carl Bunn, Lap Rito, the people that actually on the ground. So it's not one, it's a cross sector. Attorney Gail Horn-Ray is on there. Adam Smith from the school board's on that committee. And what we do is meet to talk about what's happening in terms of crime and what we could do differently. Because I don't want to hear it from one person's perspective as an educator, but the educators certainly bring in a perspective, right? About the crime, because a lot of it starts at the school. So that's why Adam Smith serves on that. Attorney Gail Waite sits on there because she has to tell us about how many of the young people that are pleading to these crimes that are making it difficult for them to get to the work space, right? So there's someone from BRCC on that board. And then there's Silky Slim, who brings another perspective of what he's hearing from the young people on the streets. There's Lyle Montgomery from Zachary bringing another perspective. And then the police, Carl Dunn, and he used to be over uniform patrol in Baton Rouge. We have him on there. So we got these different perspectives. I think when you do that, I brought this group together last week, asked all of the law enforcement officers to meet, the sheriff, the city police, the constables, everyone to come to the table and come out against these pop-up parties, but not just come out against them. We needed to give people an alternative to do other things, right? So I've been working with the Millennial Park on Florida Street. They had movie night. But we've got to get more things for young people to do like that are safe, that where they're not disrupting businesses, because we cannot have a lawlessness and breaking laws and making sure that our constituents are safe. So that was the kind of things that, and then that was supposed to be a press conference, which was canceled. But I went ahead and went out there on my own to see what I could do, and I was able to talk to those young people, give them my business card, tell them to call me. Let's talk about what you need to get a job. Let's talk about what you can do to get training. Let's talk about getting a studio. So one of the things I want to do, and I don't want to put too much of my stuff out there on the platform, because, you got a lot of folks that take your ideas and roll with them. So I'll leave it at that. But there are a lot of ideas that I have for the young people to get them off of the street and talk to them. Many of them just need somebody to talk to. Many of them just need tutors. Many of them just need people like the 100 Black Men and those. And they have a certain group that they deal with, and they do a very good job with it. But there are those that don't fit into that category, and we've got to find a space for them. We've got to find a space for them. Clarence.
Finally, folks that want to find out more about the campaign and State Representative C. Denise Marcelle, how do they go about doing that?
Well, they can go to my website, Marcel for Mayor, but they're working on the website right now, so they're tweaking it and changing some stuff. We had some problems with it, but it will be up soon. It's Marcel for Mayor. We're going to have a Facebook page. Certainly they can contact me. You know, I have a transparency at my number. Everybody has it, 225-933-4217. They can call my personal cell phone number if they'd like to speak with me.
State Representative C. Denise Marcelle, and now candidate for mayor in East Baton Rouge Parish. Stay safe, my friend. Always great to hear your voice, and we'll be checking in as the campaign rolls along.
And thank you, Alex, for your vote, your support, and also your prayers.
You got it. C. Denise Marcelle, State Representative and candidate for mayor. We're a little over on taking our first break of the hour. We'll get that done, come back and talk more right where you've got it, here on the Monday edition of the Clarence Bug Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
That's right, the Clarence Bug Show is back, along with the Exiles, Bill Profita and Kevin Gallagher. We've put the band back together, South Louisiana's talk team, and it's only on the Pelican. 10 a.m. till 12 noon, right here on the Pelican.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Mandafine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Mandafine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Mandafine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Welcome back to hour one of our Monday edition of the Clarence Bug Show. We, on July 15th, made a shift in our channel guide and programming numbers. If you know someone that is a fan of the Pelican, all the great sports programming, and of course the Exiles now on here and Rocket Right along with yours truly, let them know that maybe they've been having trouble finding us because we've changed in the Gramercy, New Orleans, Acadiana, Baton Rouge areas. The great news is, aside from that little inconvenience of, hey, Clarence not on the station he's normally on as far as my numbers, the good news is we've got a much improved signal now, and we are high def across the board. So make that mental note if you've not already done so, and please help us to share that information across South Louisiana. Today starts 3 days of fasting and prayer as requested by Governor John Bel Edwards, as the number of people infected with COVID-19 continues to rise. Quote, "I know it's a little bit unusual, but this will be a spiritual diet and exercise that I, as a Catholic Christian, believes is very important. The 3-day period begins today, July 20th. The quote continues, "We'll be doing lunch fasting for those 3 days, and certainly praying as well. Praying for the people of Louisiana, praying for those who are sick, praying for those who care for those who are sick, and certainly for the families of those who have passed on." The governor went on to say that this is not just a call to action for fellow Catholics, but for all people of faith. And obviously, with this being South Louisiana, there are a whole lot of folk that count themselves in the community of faith. And quite frankly, with the magnitude of the COVID-19 pandemic and how it has affected us here in South Louisiana, we can use all the prayer that we can get. And I know before you say it, you know, there's all kinds of folks out there that, Clarence, y'all can have all that Jesus stuff, all that God stuff. I don't believe in all that. Well, as an American, that is your right. But certainly for those of us that are members of the community of faith, Governor John Bel Edwards and faith leaders all across the state are asking that you join us in 3 days of fasting and prayer for the state that we all love so very much and has been impacted so very harshly by the coronavirus pandemic that has plagued not only Louisiana, but every state in the Union, and for that matter, every nation on this planet. Speaking of the coronavirus impact here in Louisiana, grim news for one of arguably the most beloved institutions in the state of Louisiana, talking about our restaurant industry. A survey was released last week by the Louisiana Restaurant Association, and it is not good news. As you well know, we are known worldwide for our food here in Louisiana. It's something that people will get on a plane and travel halfway around the globe to come and sample, of course, along with the hospitality of some of the most congenial people to be found anywhere on planet Earth, the architecture, the history, you know the whole nine. Well, according to Stan Harris, the president of the Louisiana Restaurant Association, it is possible that up to 25% of Louisiana restaurants, that's 1 out of every 4, could potentially close permanently due to COVID-19. Quote, "Our industry has been decimated. One of the challenges that we're facing right now is reduced capacity, and combine that with reduced demand. With empty bar stools and fewer tables, many restaurants across the state aren't just seeing the effects of less business in their dining rooms, but in their wallets as well." His quote continues, "When the money runs out, they're going to have to look at other ways to operate their business. We're projecting that we're going to lose in the New Orleans area, scary number, probably 40% of the restaurants in that area, and probably 20 to 25% statewide. For a state that relies so very heavily on tourism. That would be a devastating blow. I mean, you think New Orleans, you think Superdome, you think Mardi Gras, you think Sugar Bowl, you think French Quarter, and of course you think great restaurants. To lose 40% of those restaurants would be just devastating. And, you know, I understand, well, Clarence, you got to understand that's supply and demand. And when all of this COVID stuff is over, there will be others that will spring up to replace those that we've lost. Yeah, there is some merit to that argument. Just like there is merit to the argument that every bad situation breeds something good to come out of it. The problem is when you lose such a large percentage of this very viable part of our economy, it takes a while for that to regenerate itself. It does not happen overnight. And of course, it's one thing to have a business like K. Paul's down in the French Quarter that started back in 1979, closed now permanently, or at least heading in that direction. 1979, quick math, that would be 41 years they've been in existence. So that's a far cry, keeping that business viable from someone that's had a dream, quote unquote, all their lives about starting their own restaurants. It is one of those things that, like most businesses, first and foremost, you've got to get past the first year of operation. In a case like a K. Paul's, when you've been in operation for 41 years, not a big deal. You've got it down to a science. And sadly, only something with the impact of a worldwide pandemic, of which Louisiana was hit particularly hard, do you see the results of what we're talking about. Right now, it is estimated that 5 to 10% of restaurants in the entire state of Louisiana have already closed and are sitting in a holding pattern that probably will not reopen. Those are scary numbers. So I say all this to say, we all love our Louisiana restaurants, particularly those that are owned by Louisianians. Nothing against the big, corporations, nothing against the chain places, but Louisiana is special for any number of reasons, not the least of which is Louisiana-owned businesses know how to treat Louisiana folks, and they do business differently from the national chains and other folks that weren't born here, live here, raised here. You know that spiel in its entirety. They need our help, guys and girls. I mean, just imagine today, make up a list of your 10 favorite restaurants in the state. If they're in New Orleans, go through and scratch off 4 of them, and then scratch off a 4th of all the rest of them. Not a pretty picture, is it? Aside from the cultural necessity of being able to offer the world such extraordinary cuisine, there's also the monetary impact, because these are our neighbors. These are our friends. These are our fellow Louisianians that work in these restaurants, if at all possible. And yeah, I get it. Same here. Money's tight for everybody. I get that. But when you can, make it a point, patronize those local businesses. They will love you for it. Their employees will love you for it. The state's tax coffers will love you for it. And of course, it goes without saying, yours truly will love you for it as well. Something that we never thought we'd find ourselves worried about in the great state of Louisiana, great places to eat. 40% of the restaurants in New Orleans and a fourth statewide, possibly closing forever because of the coronavirus pandemic. Never thought I'd see the day. But I guess the good news is, if there is a silver lining in this particularly damaging cloud, is that we are Louisianians, and even if the restaurants go away, I would like to think that there are tons of other Louisianians with the expertise, the knowledge, and in times like these, more important than anything, the will to step in and pick up the torch and carry it on to the finish line. Can't do it without your help. We need to get what will be our final break of today's show out of the way, but we still got another hour to go. A Louisiana treasure being honored nationally. And I might add, yeah, I'm a little biased because I'm a personal friend of his. It's certainly something fitting for a job well done. We'll get our final break of this hour out of the way, bang that out, come back, put a big old bow on hour one, and wrap up this puppy, the Monday edition of the Clarence Bugg Show. Right here where you've got it, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Rouge Jr., and I am a general dentist at Rouge Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Jaguar Nation, we need your help in masking up Louisiana.
Masking up will slow the spread of COVID-19.
During this time, we must continue to wear a mask. Wash your hands and practice social distancing.
It's important that we continue to abide by the CDC's guidelines to stop the spread.
Jaguar Nation, we challenge you to mask up.
Go Jags!
Hello, guys. It's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
For total home pest control, who are you going to call?
Call the Bug Man, 923-BUGS.
For total pest control for your home or business, call the original Salvant.
Call the Bug Man today, 923-BUGS.
They said I could find you here. Why are you fishing? Our company's got to ship out 2 full color brochures and 20 color copies. You're killing me.
It's done. Designed, printed, packaged, and shipped.
How?
You just got to know the right people. Baker Printing, the printing people.
How come you get to fish in this private lake?
Like I said, you just got to know the right people. You can know the right people, too.
Welcome back to hour one of the Monday edition of the Clarence Bugg Show. Here's hoping that your weekend was an absolutely wonderful one. If not, well, hopefully good Lord willing, you will still be around when the next one rolls our way, and you can try it all over again. You know, I am fearful for the soul of my country. We, as all of you are painfully aware of, I'm sure by now, continue to struggle with the issue of race in America. And as is the case in my beloved country so much these days, it seems as though every time we encounter a problem, we overreact to the problem, to the point where we come up with, quote unquote, solutions that in no way, shape, or form address the actual problem. For example, the Minneapolis City Council, and everybody knows about the unrest that has occurred in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Well, the City Council on Friday of last week approved a resolution declaring racism a, quote, public health emergency in that city. You heard me right. The resolution reads in part that, quote, racism in all its forms causes persistent discrimination and disparate outcomes in many areas of life, including housing, education, health, employment, public safety, and criminal justice, exacerbated further by the COVID-19 pandemic crisis. It goes on to say, and the resolution pledges for Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey and the City Council's members to address the, quote, severe impact of racism on the well-being of residents and the city overall, and allocate funding, staff, and additional resources to actively engage in racial equality in order to name, reverse, and repair the harm done. What I find particularly interesting / disturbing, the number of people who come up with, quote, solutions to this perceived monumental problem, who all at the same time very conveniently ignore the real problem. For example, there is a commercial running now on Pluto TV, all the channels, and I forget the name of the professional athlete that's doing the spot. But he talks about using his, quote, platform to fix the things in this country that need fixing. As a man of color, I am particularly in tune to and disturbed by the violence in the community of people that look like me. And yet, in this commercial, this well-known athlete never once mentions that as something that needs to be fixed. He talks about inequities in the criminal justice system. He talks about education, talks about any number of things, none of which begin to impact people in the community of color like violence. I guess in the grand scheme of things, we should applaud individuals for at least attempting something. But when all is said and done, what scares me most is the amount of time, energy, and effort that we dedicate to the things that, in the grand scheme of things, as the old folk are fond of saying, don't amount to a hill of beans. I guess maybe it's human nature that we gravitate toward fixing things that are the easiest to fix. The problem is when you generate all that conversation, all that energy and effort towards something that, again, in the grand scheme of things, does not amount to a hill of beans, you are dooming yourself to continuing to face the same problems over and over and over again. At some point, we're going to have to address the elephant in the room. At some point, we're going to have to get comfortable. And I know for a lot of y'all viewing right now, this may be, from a societal standpoint, the hardest thing you've ever had to do. But we're going to have to sit down and take an honest, hard look at the problems that are plaguing us. And not just look at them, but place blame where it rightfully belongs. My late father, God bless him, taught all of his children early in life. The first step in solving a problem is admitting that there is, in fact, a problem. You cannot address something that you refuse, for whatever reason, to look at as, it's not really a problem. Never mind that it is the biggest on the list. It's those little bitty ones that we like to just peck away at because, quite frankly, it's easier. And human beings, oftentimes, we gravitate toward the things that offer the least resistance. That may have been fine prior to recent memory, but in today's world, the problems that we have allowed to linger for so long now have become exponentially larger. The longer we take in this exercise in introspection, the longer it's going to take us to solve the problem, and more important, the more damage that is going to be done. I would like to challenge all of us today, be you black, white, red, yellow, brown, Democrat, independent, libertarian, Republican, whomever, be the best person you can be. There are so many things in this world and in this country that are beyond our control as individuals. But if we all make a concerted effort to be the best person we can be, I'm one of those that's of the opinion, maybe jadedly so, the rest will take care of itself. Control what you can control inside your limited sphere of influence. Do that, and let the chips fall where they may. Tell you what, I misspoke. Marty, it's your fault. White people, it's your fault, Marty. We do have one more quick break to get out of the way. We'll bang that out and come back with more, right where you've got it, on our Monday edition of the Clarence Bug Show, here and only on the Pelican.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Mandafine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Mandafine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Mandafine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Exiles from what, you ask? Exiled from the radio, but now we're on your television.
I'm Bill Profita, he's Kevin Gallagher, and they kicked us to the curb.
But we're back.
We are back with Exiles Television on the Pelican Broadcasting Network. We're going to bring you the newsmakers. We're also going to take your calls and give you great information. It's going to be the best damn radio show on television.
Look for it on your cable system or download the app, PelicanSportsTV.com.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Welcome back to the Monday edition of the Clarence Bug Show. In the last segment, for those of you that were not with us, I talked about how it pains me to watch this country that I love so much go through what we're going through now with the social upheaval, and particularly our response to all of this. Probably the most single classic example of what I'm talking about comes out of West Virginia. West Virginia University, one that everybody's familiar with, recently had a Zoom meeting where students had the opportunity to meet online, obviously, Zoom, with the head of the police department there on campus. An effort to bring together two sides and hopefully find some common ground. All was well until a student happened to notice that the police chief in his living room and in the shot of the Zoom meeting had a Blue Lives Matter flag. Oh my God, you would have thought the man had a Klan robe hanging in the closet and had left the door open. He is now the police chief at West Virginia University, facing calls to resign. And of course, as is the case with so many these days, probably because the guy likes his job, maybe more important because he needs his job, has now apologized for the, quote, hurt that he caused. First of all, y'all, the man is a chief of a police department. Does it not stand to reason that he believes Blue Lives Matter? Does it not stand to reason that he will be as big a supporter of law enforcement as you will ever find? Does it not stand to reason that in the home of a law enforcement officer, you will probably find a flag of that sort? To call for his resignation has got to be one of the dumbest things I've seen to occur. No, correction. One of the stupidest things. Dumb people just don't know any better. They're ignorant. not in a negative way, meaning a lack of information and education on a certain issue. Stupid is what stupid is. Dumb people, folks that aren't aware of certain things, I can live with them. It's those stupid people out there that just chap my hide. And for this police chief to, quote, apologize. Dude, really? You're a police officer. You're a law enforcement officer. I would question your sincerity if you didn't have one of those somewhere in your house, if not in the shop. Unfortunately, we in this country have adopted the philosophy that I've got the right to live my life and never see or hear anything that offends me. I get the whole millennial thing, and I understand we adults, we boomers, a lot of it's our fault because we bought into the notion, and it's only human nature. We bought into the notion we want our kids to have a better life than we did. We don't want them to go through many of the things that we had to go through. We fought, bled, died for a lot of things. We don't want them to have to do that. But at the end of the day, nowhere is it written, printed, posted, recorded, whatever, nowhere is it listed that you have the right to go through this life and not be offended. And for God's sake, y'all, whatever it is that you believe in, whether I agree with it or not, if you firmly believe it and there is no malice intended, y'all need to stop apologizing for every little old thing and every person out there who had, quote, their feelings hurt. Grow up. Grow up. You know, we've allowed ourselves to fall into the trap of life owes me something. And in this particular case, life owes me the right to go through it and not be offended. Listen, the guy that's going to start the second hour with me on today's show, like my late father and so many other parents, grandparents out there, we all grew up understanding this life and this world owes you nothing but a foot in your behind if you don't get off your behind and make your own. And the sooner we realize this and get back to that way of thinking, then we will see this beloved country of ours once again be what it has the potential to be. Life ain't fair, y'all. It's tough out there. And if we don't teach our children this now, there's always somebody waiting in the wings, chomping at the bit, more than ready, willing, and able to teach them in our stead. How we managed to get as far as we've gotten as a nation is due in large part, if not exclusively, to the principles this country was founded on. Self-determination, individuals doing the right thing, and those who can doing for self and then doing for others. It has served us mighty well all these years. And I would hate to be the one to have to explain to our grandkids why we changed. Just said. An icon. Coming up next, hour 2 of the Clarence Bugg Show here on the Pelican. Stay close.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
For total home pest control, who are you going to call?
Call the Bug Man, 923-BUGS.
For total pest control for your home or business, call the original Salvant.
Call the Bug Man today, 923-BUGS.
Welcome back as we start hour 2 of our Monday edition of the Clarence Bug Show. You know, I have been so blessed in my professional career. I am extremely proud of the fact that I've had the opportunity over 40 years now to host the TV shows for 4 Hall of Fame coaches. Individuals that are makers of men, lovers of God and country, and individuals that have devoted most of their lives to turning young men into responsible citizens. Not the least of which is Panama Jack. I mean, Coach Roger Cador. How are you, my friend?
Clarence, life is really good.
Yes, sir. And for him, it's gotten even better. Announcement last week that our friend, Roger Cador, will be inducted into the American Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame in the next class. What does it mean to you to be honored this way, Coach?
Well, Clarence, you know, it's a lot of things. It's a lot of moving parts you got to put together.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to try. When you start trying to explain what it means,
right.
Invariably, you're going to leave something out.
Okay.
But it's certainly a great honor. And the thing that I think about the most is I think about the beginning of my athletic career back in 1966. And then I think about when I became the head coach in 1984.
Right.
With what I started with. Everything in that grocery basket.
Yeah. And for those of y'all that don't know, when Coach would go to practice first year, everything that the program had to its name, he would push out to the diamond in one shopping cart.
Yeah. And then the other thing I think about is that I didn't have a practice field. I didn't have a field.
Right.
and that I had to convince parents and kids that I was worth the risk or gamble to send me their kids.
Right.
I had to sell, and I was selling a lot of good things. Mostly I was selling the hope and the dream. And they believed me.
They bought into it.
They bought into it and believed me. And I got some great players. But I told them the truth. In spite of not having, I never lied to them. I told them the truth. And even though some of the things I promised wasn't able to come through, but they could see it was coming through.
And
it's
it
just
wasn't,
we had
it
people
wasn't
in the
for
way.
a lack of effort.
It wasn't for a lack of effort. It's just I had people in my way. I had people in my way that I worked for. You got
Get out of my way.
Yeah, well, they were in the way.
When you started out, all those many years ago, got that first head coaching position, what were your goals? What were you hoping to accomplish?
Well, I didn't want the job, so there was no goals.
Wow.
Remember, it took them 2.5 months to convince him, and finally my wife, Dick Hill, who hired me, was the athletic director. One night, I was moonlighting as a part-time used car salesman for Adams Toyota, for those people
back in the
out
day.
there.
Yeah.
Over there on Plank Road.
On Plank Road, yeah.
And I got a call, and my wife said, "You need to come home." Well, I don't know what it's about. When she says that, I didn't ask.
Right.
I just, your wife have to say, "You need to come home." You got to go.
Oh, yeah.
You don't ask any
You better
questions.
go.
So I go home, and I see a car park in the yard. And I said, that looked like the AD's car.
Right.
So I go in the house, and they're sitting in the living room, and Donna told me sit down, and I sat, and she said, "Listen, I've been talking with Dr. Hill, and he's telling me that he wants you to really be the baseball coach, and he's going to work with you.
Right.
You need to take this job."
Wow.
And I took the job based upon her strong words.
Wow. Who were your mentors?
Well, I go back to Roosevelt Collins, the only coach, all of the coach who coached me, he's the very first one. He's the only one that's still alive in Euro. Then I had a good talk with him early in the week, last week.
That was your high school basketball coach.
JV.
JV.
The one that cut me.
Right. Right. One that dropped you off a mile from your house and told you walk home and don't come back.
He and I laugh about it. We laugh about it. He stood his ground.
Yeah.
I told him.
Yeah.
I said, I'm glad you weren't alive. You didn't win coaching in this era when staying in your ground is what people do. You would have got me out of there. But, I've had, Carl Emerson Stood was a great mentor. Those kind of people, they really, Carl Emerson Stood taught me organization, hard work. And he talked to me about two things. One, he said, because when he hired me, he fired 2 people to hire me.
Wow.
And he said, hard work is important, but loyalty is better if you had to take the one out of the 2.
Right.
Say, if you could get both, you got something.
Right.
And you know what? When he was leaving in 82, he, in the last conversation he said he and I had as it relates to coaching, he said, when I hired you because of loyalty, and I knew you would work hard, but he said, doing it, you deliver both.
Wow.
He said, that is a rare combination to find someone who will work hard and is loyal. And I took that into life moving forward. As I hired my coaches, I always told them about the value of being a hard worker, but loyalty was more important.
Wow.
And you know what? All of those kids that coached under me, they've gone on and done very big things in the world.
For those of you that don't know, we're talking with Coach Roger Cador, recently announcing that he is going to be inducted in the next class for the American Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame. The Carl Stewart, Emerson Stewart that he mentioned, was the longtime, highly successful basketball coach at Southern University, and the guy that got me started in sports broadcasting and really helped to nurture my love of jazz music. As a young man back in the 80s, jazz wasn't all that popular among my peer group. And when he found out that I was a big lover of jazz, because my dad was a huge big band fan, he gave me some music, nurtured me along, and I will always cherish his contributions in my life. What are you hoping that your players learned from Roger Cador?
Well, I'm not hoping. I know they learned. They learned first a value system and to being loyalty. They learned the value of hard work. Now that they are head of households, husbands, fathers, and community leaders, they begin to see it now. It all comes back into play. Because where people don't call as much, social media is their mean of communicating.
Yep.
And they always say, thanks, Coach, you had it right. You were right. And that's all that matters. It's that it's all about when you can hear it 30, 20, 30, 40 years down the road.
Right.
It means more then. Because when I was being a tough son of a gun, demanding, they didn't like it. But now they sort of, when they got to get up every day and take care of that family, it becomes a little more realistic.
Yeah. 33 years, a head coach, 11 appearances in the NC2A tournament, 14 SWAC championships, 13 SWAC Coach of the Year titles. But I go back to the beginning of that statement. 33 years a head coach. How did you manage to last so long?
I was in a situation at a university where I created a situation where they didn't want to help me.
Right.
So I did it so well, they felt it was in the best interest to leave me alone. Don't break it.
Right.
And they allowed me to operate because baseball was a drain on their budget, and I raised the money where they didn't have to give me anything. And we did good things in the community. We set a standard very high that made the university look good.
Right.
So why mess with that guy who is doing that and not asking you for anything? Now, like I said in the beginning, there were people in the way, but we found ways to move them on the side without hurting their feelings.
Right.
I've always taught my players and try to teach my son, you can't bruise people's ego who in their mind have power over you.
Right.
They'll come back and get you. Because everybody got a weak spot.
Yeah.
Or as the people say, skeleton in the closet. People do come back and get you. So you never do it. You always make sure the people who are your boss, you try to make them feel good.
How much of your job and how much of your success centered around diplomacy?
Well, all of it does. I mean, I had nothing. You had to be diplomatic to get people at least not to make it more difficult.
Right.
I mean, you got me?
Right.
I mean, you have to understand that. And being a diplomat, using that in the community and with the business community.
Especially there.
Yeah, it was a huge access for me and my baseball program.
When did you come to realize people like what I'm trying to do here, particularly the business community? When did you realize that you could capitalize on that?
Well, when Skip Berkman and I had that meeting when I first started coaching, and he was there a year, and we met, and we went over some things that was important. And he met,
Did you call him or he called you?
I called him.
Okay.
Because I felt he was there was the right thing to do.
Right.
For me to call him. Let's meet, let's talk. Let's get some ideas, and we put them on the
Diplomat.
table. Being a diplomat. And, he said, Baton Rouge is big enough for both of us. He said, it's a city big enough for both of us.
Wow.
And then we talked about what we need to do. And community service was something that was paramount of importance. Getting the kids in the community. He said, by doing that, we were going to get the kids involved, and then we get families involved who have kids and bring them involved. And then business community like that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They like people who are involved in their community. So, and that's basically what we did.
Wow. Can I get you to stick around for a few more minutes?
Only if Katie and Jonathan in the truck control Allen.
All right. Well, consider that done. We'll get our first break of hour 2 out of the way. We're going to come back and talk more with a now not that he wasn't before, but officially a national treasure. Former SU skipper, longtime skipper Roger Cador, soon to be inducted into a National Hall of Fame, elected by the American Baseball Coaches Association. More of that right after this break. Stay with us.
A treasure?
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private Healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready. And health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
I'll leave for a little while. And all you other letters think you can take over my town. Look at you. None of you's even a vowel. If the people want the money they deserve for their accident,
The E-guarantee.
and as for you other letters, it's time you were erased.
That's right, the Clarence Bug Show is back, along with the Exiles, Bill Profita and Kevin Gallagher. We've put the band back together, South Louisiana's talk team, and it's only on the Pelican. 10 a.m. till 12 noon, right here on the Pelican.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
Hour 2 of our Monday edition of the Clarence Bug Show, spending some time with one of my favorite people on the planet, and I don't say that lightly. Understanding that from a professional standpoint, God has blessed me so richly, having hosted TV shows for 4 Hall of Fame coaches. Dale Brown for Louisiana State University's basketball program, the legend Eddie Robinson for Grambling State University, Pete Richardson, former Jaguar football coach, and of course, this legendary gentleman, Roger Cador, recently being selected to the ABCA's next Hall of Fame class. If you had not been a coach, what would you have been?
I have no idea. I can't even imagine what I could have been. All I know, I can say this. Back in '80, in May of 1980, we were packing up, Donna and I, to leave Baton Rouge to go to Greenville, South Carolina, when Carl Emerson came walking down there and said, hey, what are you doing? I just fired 2, I can't use the words, to hire you. You know, I mean, so how do you know? I don't know. I don't have an idea. See, I was hopeful that her daddy had a really good position with Union Carbide in Greenville, South Carolina.
Okay.
That was the hope that I could get on there.
Right.
And that was, but to say I had no idea what I would have been. I don't know. If you look at it today, I don't know how to do anything else.
Kind of like me, been broadcasting for so long, I'm not even looking to learn anything else. But when you tell the story that way and look at how all of this unfolded, for Coach Stewart to be in that place at that time, having done what he'd just done, to make room for you, kind of makes you feel as though this was all preordained, that this is what you were supposed to be.
Maybe it was, because I had no idea. I had not even spoken with this man.
Wow.
In months and months and months and months.
Wow.
So I had no idea what he was doing. As I mentioned, we were packing to go.
Right.
Because we were going to get married in June, which we got married June 8th. We still went. We just didn't have to didn't take as much as we would put in there.
Right.
We put some stuff back.
Right.
And drove to Greenville, South Carolina, got married, came back and got hired in July 1.
Wow. How much has your faith played in this life that you've been blessed to enjoy?
Not that I know the Bible a lot better. I know faith is everything.
Yeah.
Without faith, man, you have nothing.
That's right.
You know, and I can tell you that when I look at from the beginning, even though I didn't know Jehovah God in the beginning,
right?
He had his hand in this thing all along.
All along.
I mean, come on, let's be realistic. How could I have done it?
Without him.
Because I knew nothing. I was just being blown in the wind.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And he was holding my hand through it all.
Do it all. Do it all.
Even though I was never going to quit or give up.
Right.
But the force was saying, don't quit. Don't give up. Push on. Keep going. No, so.
You are arguably one of the greatest examples of the American dream. I mean, you were the literal definition of a sharecropper's son. And to come from those humble beginnings to now being elected to a national Hall of Fame. Is that one of the reasons why you love this country the way you do?
Well, even if I hadn't been elected, I love this country because it's still the greatest country. I haven't gone to a lot of countries in the world.
Oh, yeah.
It's still the best country there is.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of problems, but we still find ways to work through them. But no, had I not been elected, it wouldn't have mattered. I would have still loved this country because it still have given me the opportunities.
Yeah.
Even though the system deprived me of an education at a younger age.
Right.
You know, the system was a systematic thing that caused them to do what they did to African Americans back then.
Would you go to Rosenwald?
Yes.
Back then?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that initially was like Rosenwald
before
School
that,
for Coloreds
but
or something
before
like
I
that.
went there, in Ventris, there was a school, one teacher, Miss Hebert, taught 1st through 12th grade in one room. One room.
Wow.
You know, just think of the inhumane situation they did to kids.
Yep. Yeah.
You're putting first graders in the same room with people who were very old.
Right.
I remember.
Right.
Just didn't make sense. But you know what? Miss Hebert made it work. She found a way. She bought time. And then we were able to, they closed that school and moved us to New Roads.
Right.
Where now you could be in a acclaimed class with people your age.
What was that like?
I can't remember very much because remember, it's so, you know, it was such a disappointing situation for me because I didn't learn anything.
Right.
I missed out on all of the basic fundamentals.
Right.
And it was such a struggle just to be able to keep up and dealing with the kids teasing you.
Right.
That's what kids do.
Well,
They
that's what they
tease.
do. They're kids.
They don't know any better.
No.
But it helped me to keep saying, they're right. They're right. I need to work up. And then I started individually running them out to get a newspaper, reading it back to front, from the front to the back, and helping myself. And that's how I started. And I did it. And people say, he's crazy. He's crazy. And I had to comfort my mother and said, I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I can help myself.
Looking back over a 33-year career, any regrets?
Wow. No regrets.
Awesome.
No regrets, man. I'm telling you, if it had to be any regret, is that there are a couple of people at Southern didn't know what they had in me, who were in the situation to maybe help, and I would have helped the university. Not me.
Right.
But I could have helped the university.
Yeah. The
You got
program.
me?
Yeah.
Well, more than the program, the university. I could have done more to help the university.
Yeah, I mean, the program, had you been given more assistance.
Or had they recognized that they had someone special in me.
Right.
And I
Right.
just don't think that, you know.
Of course, now, on the other hand, maybe that made you work a little harder to be as successful.
But keep in mind, again, I said if there's any regret, that's it.
That's it,
It didn't
yeah.
keep me from working hard.
True.
I still worked hard.
True.
In spite of. But I just wish that, you know, that they had understood. And maybe, but, let me tell you, people make mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe they just made a mistake on me.
Right.
But I'm not going to worry about it. You asked me to analyze it, so I threw that in there.
There you go. There you go. 33 years of coaching. What did Roger Cador learn about himself from coaching?
First, I knew I wasn't the smartest coach. I didn't know it all. I didn't know it all.
Right.
But I knew that I didn't know it all, and I didn't fool myself.
Right.
But the little that I did know, I made sure I expounded on it and made sure that I gave my players the wisdom that wasn't maybe coaching, but was from life lessons that filled the gap for where maybe I didn't coach. Then.
Right.
I filled the gap with information and wisdom. So that's basically what I did.
What advice would you give to someone right now that is considering going into the coaching profession?
It's a little different world now. You have to understand parents and you have to understand kids. First, you got to understand the whole scenario, how things, it's just such a different world. It's not easy going into the coaching profession.
And I would imagine you are referencing early in your career coming up, you'd make your pitch to parents. Parents would make a decision along with their kids, and then they would get out of your way and let coach do the coaching. Is that what you're referencing in part?
Referencing to. If you don't understand that you're not, to a large extent, going to be in control to. Let me tell you, other than Nick Saban in football and maybe a couple other people, ain't many more coaches can really have the control that they need to help the kids. Parents got control. Kids can write something on the media,
on social media,
and get a coach fired.
Yeah.
You know, and it may not even be true.
Right.
You know, so and that's why I'm saying there ain't very many coaches like Nick Saban where the administration wouldn't dare listen to a kid over him.
Right. Right.
You got me?
Yeah.
And that's the biggest change. Kids has got as much power as the coach.
Yeah. What would you say to administrators, people in position of power at institutions, universities all across this country? What would you say to them they need to do to allow their coaches who are makers of men to be as successful as possible?
The worst thing you can have is perceived power.
Yeah.
You know, that thing with power has caused so many disappointment and hurtful situations. First, many of those people don't know how to hire a coach. They're administrators, they're educators.
Never played sports. Never coached.
Never coached. So they ought to stay out of the profession and let someone who is very skillful and been in that profession hire that coach. And I think you got a better chance of having some success there.
Yeah.
You know, the days of hiring friendship hire, it's not going to ever go away.
Right.
But you're asking for problem. You know, I never hired someone that I consider a friend or something. I hired someone who I thought could do the job.
Yes, sir.
You got me?
Yes, sir.
And the same thing with players. Coaches used to say, hey, coach, you need to put so-and-so in. He hadn't played. I never look at it from that perspective.
Right.
Did he earn the right to play? That's all.
Yeah.
That's all I was basing it on.
Are we going to have the best chance of winning if I play it? throughout the years, you will now be enshrined with the legends of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. I mean, we're talking longtime folks, the likes of Eddie Robinson, Marino Chasm, Coach Rat up at Alcorn, individuals that, quote, many of us say, they don't make them like that anymore. What does that mean to you?
Well, you know, those coaches who coach in the Southwestern Athletic Conference, people who stayed as long as I did, you probably won't be seeing that anymore.
Nope.
You know, I just think it's gone, and I think the aurora of the SWAC is probably not going to be like it was going forward.
Right. Right.
You know, and it's probably going to be better because I think integration or diversity is so much better. It's the only way for them to survive is to diverse themselves.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people don't want it.
Right.
Because they want to stay the way it used to be.
Right.
Well, it ain't going to be
with that.
like it used to be.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Over the years, your support from fans, particularly in the arena of baseball, has been way at the upper echelon. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times I've talked with a visiting coach and how much they were looking forward to playing Southern because they knew there were going to be fans in the stands. There were going to be people that were passionate about their team, passionate about the game of baseball, passionate about supporting HBCUs. What would you like to say to the fans that supported Roger Cador and Southern University baseball all those years?
Well, I just want to say thanks, and I appreciate them doing it and trusting and believing in me, because you know what? Fans play such an intricate part of team spirit.
Yeah.
Because they can lift teams up, players up when they're down, and they can play a role with the opponents.
Right.
By taking away their confidence. So they're an intricate part of the athletic experience. So, but I just want to say, you know, I'll never forget them because I had even good fans even on the road. Whenever I went on the road, I had really good fans. So I was fortunate in so many respects that I had a gift from God and I try to use it to the best of my ability.
What will you, in the end of all of this, what will you cherish the most about your 33 years of coaching?
That I got to work 16 years with you doing this TV show. How about that? But, you know, all of the things we created at Southern, I mean, that I just, you know, now that the virus has got me stuck in the house a lot, I am able to reminisce a little more than I would because I'm not one. But you don't have anything, you're stuck in that house.
Right.
And then you start thinking about wonderful moments.
Right.
You know, and the moments I think about is how my players love me to tell a true story. You know, a lot of coaches lie to players, get them fired. You know, I told them all true stories. And they would say, tell us a true story, coach. See, and I remember that kind of stuff because this is what they're living on now. Coach didn't lie to me. He told us the truth. See, that's when it becomes really valuable because now they got to tell their kids the truth.
And they see, despite what all the other stuff you see on TV and movies and internet, they now see that that can work and bring them some tangible results. Because if it worked for Coach, it can work for me.
That's right. Well, I'm telling you, because kids don't call as much, social media is their way of communicating. I say kids, they're growing up, but they communicate from social media. And I laugh and it's amazing. Now, I say, really, it makes sense now, huh?
Yeah,
you know.
When we say, as a society, one of a kind, we oftentimes overuse the phrase to the point of almost devaluing that sometimes. But truly, when you say one of a kind and you apply it to Roger Cador, you're standing on pretty solid ground. Congratulations, my friend, on a job well done and being recognized nationally by your peers. I hope you enjoy this for what it is.
I am. I'm going to enjoy it for what it is. I mean, it's a great privilege. Mm-hmm. It's a whole bunch of coaches going to coach, right, but only a handful of them going to get in that arena.
Yeah. The late Joe Plantis, that you knew oh so very well, sports writer for The Advocate many years, he and I had a saying. When I would see him and we'd give our customary greeting, he would always say, "Only in America, Bugs, only in America." And I'll never forget, when Southern played Howard in the LA Coliseum, I was working for Channel 9 at the time, and they flew me out there to cover the game. And Joe Plantis and I are sitting next to each other in the LA Coliseum. And he turns to me and says, "You know, Bugs, only in America can a poor white guy sit side by side with a poor black guy in the nation's largest coliseum and report on the game. Only in America, Bugs, only in America." And I'm sure there are other stories out there from other places on the planet, but on behalf of a grateful public and myself as a friend, thank you for the life you've led and teaching us that hard work and sacrifice are not outdated concepts. And if you believe in it and you're willing to make the sacrifice, who knows? You may not make it into the American Association of whatever, but you will pass on to the younger generation the things they need to keep this great country of ours solid. We love you for that, Coach, and we can never thank you enough, my friend.
If I got 1 minute?
If you want it.
I want to say two things. Baton Rouge is fortunate because I've become the third coach in this baseball coach. Mm-hmm. In Baton Rouge, Skip Berkman, Paul Maneri, and then me, right, to be a part of this Hall of Fame organization. Yeah. That is unique in itself. Where a city like Baton Rouge can have 3 coaches.
Wow.
With 2 schools, and you got 3 coaches who is in this Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And the other thing I want to mention, tonight on the Major League Baseball Network, MLB Network, I will be doing a special with Harold Reynolds. And I haven't gotten the time yet, but it'll be between probably 7 and 8:30. So I don't know that they're going to call and give me the time.
On MLB Network.
MLB Network tonight. We'll be talking about the vanishing of the black baseball player. Wow. What has happened to him?
Wow. That should be one heck of a story, because I'm old enough, and I say proudly, to remember when baseball was such an integral part of the African American community. And sadly, it's not that way anymore, but you never know what lies down the road. Congratulations again, my friend. Final bottom of the hour break. A little bit late. We'll get this done, and we'll talk more on the Monday edition of the Clarence Bug Show. Stay close.
For total home pest control, who are you going to call?
Call the Bug Man, 923-BUGS.
For total pest control for your home or business, call the original Salvat.
Call the Bug Man today, 923-BUGS.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to greystonecountryclub.com.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Exiles from what you ask? Exiled from the radio. But now we're on your television.
I'm Bill Profita. He's Kevin Gallagher, and they kicked us to the curb.
But we're back.
We are back with Exiles Television on the Pelican Broadcasting Network. We're going to bring you the newsmakers. We're also going to take your calls and give you great information. It's going to be the best damn radio show on television.
Look for it on your cable system or download the app, PelicanSportsTV.com.
They said I could find you here. Why are you fishing? Our company's got to ship out 2 full color brochures and 20 color copies. You're killing me.
It's done. Designed, printed, packaged, and shipped.
How?
You just got to know the right people. Baker Printing, the printing people.
How come you get to fish in this private lake?
Like I said, you just got to know the right people. You can know the right people too.
Monday edition, hour 2 of the Clarence Bug Show here on the Pelican. It occurred to me as we were talking with Coach Roger Cador in the last segment, there is a common trait that runs very deep in greatness. Having been blessed to host the television show for 4 Hall of Fame coaches in my career, the love of God and country and the willingness, the passion, not only for their job, but for making men out of young men is something that Eddie Robinson, Dale Brown, Pete Richardson, and Roger Cador all possess. All of them, ironically, came from very, very humble beginnings. And I guess in hindsight, there is something to be said about growing up in an environment where things are not given to you. It's amazing, as I was sitting here listening to Roger recount his upbringing. Eddie Robinson shared a very, very similar upbringing in that when he was first hired at Grambling State University, he'd never coached before, just like Roger Cador had never coached. But someone, and in the case of Eddie Robinson, then president of Grambling State University, Ralph Waldo Emerson Jones, saw something in him. At the end of the day, greatness typically manifests itself early. Not everyone's able to see it. Many times it takes a, quote, special individual to recognize the greatness that is somewhere within all of us. Not only do we not see it a lot of times, but we will dismiss it at the earliest possible convenience. Eddie Robinson, never having coached before, given the reins of the Grambling State University football program, The very first year, Grambling State University lost every single game they played. Didn't win a one. But then President Ralph Waldo Emerson Jones knew in his heart of hearts that there was greatness inside this young man. And if they just stuck with it, sure enough, it would manifest itself. Got to imagine, first year, you hire this new coach, they don't win a single game. If ever there was the opportunity to drop the hammer on somebody and kick them out the door, that would have been it. Man, we had such high hopes. You know, we placed all our faith in you, and y'all didn't win a single game. First year, lost every single game they played. Enter year two. Second year of Eddie Robinson as the head of the Grambling State football program. Just the year before, didn't win a single game. The second year, went undefeated, untied, and not a single team that played them scored a single point. That's greatness, y'all. That's greatness. You don't win a single game your first year, never coached before, but the very next year, you beat everybody you played, and not a single one of the teams that you played managed to score a single point. I often wonder how much greatness we miss out on in this country because we don't possess the ability to see it. I often wonder how much greatness we miss out on because we don't see the results as rapidly as we think we should. I often wonder how much greatness we miss out on in this country because we leave the achieving of greatness to other people instead of lending the hand that we should. Conventional wisdom and human experience tells us there are a whole lot of other Eddie Robinsons out there, Roger Cadors out there, Dale Browns out there, Pete Richardsons out there. But unfortunately, we don't recognize it. I am so proud and so happy for my friend, Roger Cador. It is truly as classic an example of the American dream as you will ever find. And it is something that we could use, quite frankly, a whole lot more of these days. When you have the opportunity, and I really hope that you take this to heart, when you have the opportunity to take part in greatness, don't let anything stand in your way. I tell people all the time, I attended Southern University, marched in the band at Southern University, grew up selling programs and peanuts and hot dogs in Mumford Stadium. And when I first got into broadcasting, second year, now 38 years ago, gentleman I knew called up and said he wanted me to host the Southern TV show. As you might imagine, man, I was on cloud nine. So I start prepping, start making, adjustments to the schedule and getting ready to do this, that, and the other. a week before the start of football season, I get a call from said individual saying, I got good news and I got bad news. I said, all right, bad news first. He said, well, I'm not going to be able to give you the Southern show. I said, okay, well, I don't need to know the reason why. Whatever it is what it is. What's the good news? He said, well, I've got one other show that you can host. I said, okay, what is that? He said, Grambling. Now, you got to understand something here. And if you got kids in the room, you might want to turn the TV down for the next 30 seconds or so. The only thing I knew about Grambling State University at that time, because remember, I'm a Southern boy, I'm a Jaguar. The only thing I knew about Grambling State University at that time was a chant that Jaguar fans used to fling across stadiums at Grambling fans. And the chant went like this. Turn the TV down in 3, 2, 1. Go to hell, Grambling State, go to hell, boom, boom. Go to hell, Grambling State, go to hell, boom. That was the only thing that I knew about Grambling. But as a young professional, just starting in sports broadcasting and in media in general, I had bills to pay. I needed all the hustle money that I could get. So I told the guy, okay, I'll take it. I'll do the Grambling show. Best thing that ever happened to me in my life. I got to sit at the feet of greatness for 15 of the last 16 years that he coached. I mean, the kind of guy where we're doing a post-game interview and we're talking about this play that occurred, I don't know, midway through the third quarter, and coach is talking about it, and he'll relate something in Latin that applied to that play. They don't make them like that anymore. And I had the opportunity, because of that, to travel to every major sports venue in America, first-class accommodations, first-class travel, but more important, to sit at the feet of greatness. Had I decided, you ain't gonna give me the Southern show, I don't want nothing. Had I took that approach, the door would have remained closed. And I'll be the first to tell you, when you're talking to a coach and he's looking at your resume trying to decide, do I want this guy to host my TV show? Most of them, they may not admit it, but the thought process occurs. If he's good enough to do it for Eddie Robinson, he's certainly good enough to do it for me. Dale Brown, thank you, my friend. Pete Richardson, thank you, my friend. Eddie Robinson, God bless you, Coach. And Roger Cador, thank you. Your greatness will never, ever be forgotten. Final break of today's show. We'll bang this puppy out, come on back, put a big old bow on it, and wrap up the Monday edition of the Clarence Bug Show right where you've got it, here and only on the Pelican. Stay close.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Jaguar Nation, we need your help in masking up Louisiana.
Masks help us slow the spread of COVID-19.
During this time, we must continue to wear a mask, wash our hands, and practice social distancing.
It's important that we continue to abide by the CDC's guidelines to stop the spread.
Jaguar Nation, we challenge you to mask up. Go Jags!
Hello, guys. It's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
That's right, the Clarence Bug Show is back, along with the Exiles, Bill Profita and Kevin Gallagher. We've put the band back together, South Louisiana's talk team, and it's only on the Pelican. 10 a.m. till 12 noon, right here on the Pelican.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Mandafine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Mandafine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Mandafine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Welcome back for the final, is that clock right, Marty? 58 seconds? Oh, yeah. You wouldn't have been running your mouth. If you'd been shut up and let Roger talk, you'd had some more time left. Well, I was just telling Marty about a story, and I'll have to save this for the Wednesday edition, yeah, because I don't have enough time to tell it the way it should. But it is something that, particularly in the wake of all the negative dispersions cast the way of law enforcement, I've got a very special story that happened with me that I'd like to relate. But that will have to be on Wednesday, another reason to tune in. You know what? Now more than ever, y'all, you're right. America, we are not perfect. But doggone it, from my money, it's the best there is. And God knows there's no place else on his green earth that I'd rather be. Speaking of the good Lord, you realize he loves you, right? And you know I do too. Either way, there ain't a doggone thing you can do about either one. Take care of yourselves and each other. See you Wednesday. God bless.